Hello everyone, Rhaldor here, and today we are discussing Rhaldor, the newest addition to the War of the Vision roster, what he brings in general that is new to the table, and then whether he's a good investment, in my opinion, right now or not. And if we immediately discuss whether he's a good investment or not, because I feel like that's the big question, right? And I don't think he is right now. And that doesn't have anything to do with the unit himself. I think he's a very good unit in his own right. But here's the thing. In 2 weeks, we'll be getting two other very highly anticipated characters, which are going to be El Sirel and Garvel, and they're both very strong. Without going into much details, in 4 weeks, at least if Global follows JP's schedule, we'll be getting the Final Fantasy X collaboration, and with that, the launch of EX Jobs. So that means that in only 1 month after Rhaldor's release, first off, there will be Titus handed for free, a water unit that's going to counter him in many ways, and then units are going to start being released with a maximum level of 120. So should you spend right now in a unit that is going to be subpar compared to what's released only in a month? I definitely don't think so. Now, if you happen to pull him, or for some reason you're really a fan of the character and you still want to go for him, let's take a look at what he can do. So, first off, he has a great TMR. It's an item that increases attack and defense and some accuracy, and then increases move for 3 turns along with accuracy. So I think it's very interesting. Rhaldor also has a master ability that increases fire party members' HP, fire attack. So he's great in a fire team, and that's going to be a trend that we see for all future unit releases where they support their own element. He has move 3, jump 2, so rather mobile, not incredible. And then he has some pretty decent stats. I put them on screen there, but he's resistant to a couple damage types, notably Pierce and Missile. Weak to magic, but his role is really to be a bruiser. So he's somewhat tanky against physical attacks. He's got 12 in a defense, and he's going to be able to take a couple hits, get into the enemy's face, and then hit really hard. That's his gameplay. So what he has in terms of ability, he has abilities that increase his own defense and HP, and then attack and HP, or move 4 if necessary. So you can see the trend here. He's really about taking hits and giving them back. In terms of counter abilities, I would say Paladin's Guard is probably his best because you want him to survive long enough to deal damage, and then a counter that only hits 1 square around the unit is a counter that's generally not going to happen because most attackers keep their distance when they attack. Even if they use swords or whatnot, they attack from range. So generally you're not going to be in range to counter and use that ability. Rhaldor is bringing a brand new job to War of the Vision, which is the Pugilist Main Job. And that's interesting because it's the first fist striking attack job that is oriented towards damage, because the monk job is really more of a support job than anything. And he has abilities that support strike attacks, so he's actually a good partner for Xiza, surprisingly enough. So he has the ability to move and strike, he's got the ability to increase his own tankiness, and then some nice human killer with small AoEs. Without going into too much details, because that's not the goal of this video, I would say he is a short-range bruisery character. He has no real long-range ability, but he can get in the enemy's face and deal quite a bit of damage once he's there, and then he has enough survivability that he should not go down too quickly. Something that's very unique is the Demon Purger ability, which increases in power as you get hit. So the more attacks that Rhaldor takes, the stronger he's going to retaliate on his opponents. So that's really the whole thematic of the Pugilist job, is staying on the field long, not going down, and then hitting the other guys really hard. So in terms of sub-job, he has the Paladin sub-job, which as we've seen is very strong on attackers such as Kain. Now, Rhaldor does not have Immortal Spirit, so he doesn't have access to Courage, but he still has access to Sentinel and Saintly Wall. I guess you could run him as a tank using Taunting Blade, but that's probably not his best usage. He also has the Thief subjob, but in my opinion, the only reason you're going to want to use this is in raids for steal time, because the Paladin subjob just offers such a great amount of survivability. I don't think the Thief job will be superior in most contexts to the Paladin sub. Then his Limit Burst decreases strike resistance. Again, this makes him pair well with Xiza, but right now, aside from himself, there won't be many people in the field that benefit from that. So I would not say it's such a great tool in his kit, because it only supports himself and it's only single target. Now, with his release, we'll also see a very interesting piece of gear, which is the first offensive fist weapon. So this weapon has a little bit over 60 points of attack more than any other fist weapon in the game right now. So this will also be a good piece of gear for Xiza if you want to use her for damage, but Rhaldor will definitely want to farm this out if he is to be used as an attacker. Then other pieces of gear that will be great for him will be any other piece that's great on a bruiser, honestly. So that would be the Platinum Robe, possibly Xiza's Bells if you want to use him as your main attacker, and then possibly accuracy gear such as the Alexandrite Ring, or maybe your Miss TMR if you want accuracy another way. So that's really the pieces of gear that I see would be good on him. Then in terms of Esper, I really imagine him using either Golem or Odin. Ideally Golem, because he's meant as a bruiser against physical attackers. So Golem will increase his defense a little bit more, allowing him to tank possibly one more hit. And then both Golem and Odin have Maneater. And that's going to be very important, because there aren't many Espers right now that provide strike attack up in the game, and those that do, Malboro and Zoo, are not UR Espers. They don't have as much stats. So if you want to make him really strong and hit hard, you need to give him Mancular instead of strike attack up. In terms of VCs, we're kind of in the same area, so there's no real strike attack up VC that provides a lot of stats as well. So his best in slot would probably be Ifrit, which will provide him fire attack up and a lot of extra attack. Otherwise, focus on resistances. This guy's made to take hits and deal them back, so giving him extra resistance to damage, allowing him to take a couple more hits before going down, can actually be very important. That's the reason I'm showing Odin, Mask of Deceit, or Leviathan here. He has a good innate pierce and missile resistance, so any of those will really make him tankier against the targets he's strong against naturally. So, in terms of team comps, he's a unit that supports other fire characters, and if you're going for him, it's probably because you like using fire teams. So against physical teams, I would imagine using him as the main tank, basically, where he'll go in and tank a couple hits. Obviously, he's not a Paladin main job, he's not Warrior of Light, he won't tank indefinitely. But if he tanks a couple hits, it'll be enough for the rest of this team, with Luartha and Nivlu and himself, to deal a lot of damage back to the enemy team and taking their members out first. So I would really use him in an offensive setup, where you aim to take the enemy team down fast. Against a magical team, the idea of a team would be a bit different, because he doesn't do that well against magic damage, so you need someone else to tank. Fortunately though, Rain is a fire unit, benefiting from Rhaldor's master ability, and then he can draw aggro and tank magic attacks for days, especially if you're using a healer like Ildira, or any other healer really, to keep him up. So with this, Lardo should have enough time to get into the fray and start dealing his own damage. I say that, but I would ideally use him against physical teams. His whole kit seems to be centered around reducing physical damage to himself and dealing a lot of damage back. So using him against magic teams will probably get you in a bit of trouble. So this was it. I wanted to keep this rather short. I know there are a lot of people who will be doing more in-depth reviews of him in the future, so this is just to give you an idea of what he can do, and then of whether it's a good idea to invest in him right now or not. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. It will make it that much more likely that you'll see this kind of content in the future. And then thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day.